Welcome to Your Media Podcast, episode 4. Today's guest, Michael Seay. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing well.
Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for setting this up. I'll start off just by saying I think it's so important to have conversations. And that's one thing I love in Toledo about the creative community we have, right, is that everybody can talk. We just got done telling the stories about, calling people, talking about gear, or talking about their style or their shooting, or if you ever need somebody to back you up. We've got such a great community here for that, creatively.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're all friends, man. We don't like that competition crap.
Right.
Yeah, we just actually met Mike Hart for the first time.
Yeah,
We
great
did.
guy.
Nicest
We did.
guy. Their
Yeah.
office is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
So nice. Yeah. So you are the director at Design to Influence and Sensorymax.
Yep, 2 divisions of MadAve Group.
If you could only pick one, though, which one would you do?
You're putting me in a rock and a hard place. They cohabitate so well together, and there's so much gray area. When we started Sensorymax, which is audio, video, and aroma marketing, it's set up to be everything when you walk into a lobby or when you walk into a location. Well, a piece of that is the brand elements that speak to you when you walk in that location. So what are the visuals? Do we have video playing in their locations? And if so, who's creating that video? Well, that's Design to Influence or D2I. I mean, that's why that gray area works so well, and I can pull my pieces and people from each side to be able to bring together these creatives that come up with even better stuff than I could ever imagine. So
Sure.
It's pretty cool.
I think Sensorymax is so cool. I didn't even know that existed. So for those who don't know, aroma marketing, like he said, when you go in the scent of a business and making sure it's consistent. I don't know. I never would have thought of that.
It can be as powerful, if not more, than a logo. It's something you can't turn off. You're going to smell it. So when you walk in, you're going to experience that aroma that we've set in place. When you walk into a Lincoln dealership, that's the scent of Lincoln. A lot of people can kind of gravitate towards experiences they've had when it comes to hotels, casinos, things. I mean, even the Westin, they sell their scent in their gift shop. So you
Sure.
can pick up candles and different things like that. So it's the same kind of thing. It's that touch point. It's that nostalgia, that memory that is implanted. I can still remember there's the scent of exclamation perfume. There was a girl in 6th grade who I was goo-goo about. And I can smell I can smell that hint of exclamation walk past me, and I'm immediately transported to that time.
I think it's weird how a smell is the one sense that's like that. You'll just like get a whiff. You're like, Grandma's kitchen. Oh yeah. Old wallpaper with mold underneath it. It's good stuff.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, I never...
Pun intended.
Pun
Pun intended.
But, cologne and stuff. I mean, they're always like, you try to
Yeah.
put out the new so you stand out, and the pheromones and everything.
Yeah, and it's all extracting bits of your memory that you don't even know are there. I always use the comparison, if you smell pine and you're from Washington State or the Pacific Northwest, that's nostalgia to you. That's growing up. That was outdoors and experiencing life. You smell it here, somebody just cleaned the room. It's pine salt. So
Yeah.
Well, if you had to recommend a scent for our office, which you've only seen this room, but if you had to recommend a scent, it wouldn't be garbage, would it?
No, it's very contemporary, and it's got a good vibe and a good feel, I think. Yeah.
We painted all the walls. They were all
nice.
they were all beige. I mean, we did a pretty bad job painting, but
No, it looks good.
looks good on camera. They think it looks good.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. How do you go about are you the person who comes up with the smells?
I'm a part of the team, yeah. So we've got a whole brand discovery team that goes in and looks at everything from the geographic area to the demographics of the people they're trying to reach, to the aesthetics of their location, to the brand elements that they already have existing.
Yeah.
Pull that all together, crunch it into, what are the notes that should be in there. And we've got, data and experience in choosing what we feel are the right scents, or the right components or the right notes of those scents. But then there's also perfumers that we retain that can come in and create a scent from scratch. So that's a really fun and sexy experience when you're able to see it all come together. And in your head, you can kind of say, I know what that's going to be, or I have an assumption, and then you smell it and you go, boom, that's it. That connected the dots.
And then do you go visit the places afterwards? If you do a tire place, you come in, you're like, lime.
Yeah, we make sure that the room's tuned. The same way that if you had background music playing in here, it could be too loud or too soft.
Sure.
We do the same thing with our equipment to make sure that the scent's even through the location all the time.
So it's not just the scent. You guys do the whole equipment.
Yeah, installation, service, refills, you name it. And then we also take it outside of the location. We got our first patent on a device called Aurapura, which is a device that goes into the in-cabin air filter of a vehicle, and it can evenly scent the vehicle for 90 days. It creates a retention for the dealerships that install it, because it is kind of a pain in the butt to get into your in-cabin air filter, but at the same time, at least it's not a vent clip or some visor clip or some tacky thing that's going to smell for 3 days and then it goes away forever. So that was a cool experience. Plus, we got clients that want to, like banks, we've sent it checkbook covers and pens and stuff like that, so you can experience or take that brand element outside of the location of what it was originally intended for.
That's some genius marketing.
Yeah, that's fascinating, man.
Yeah.
Aroma marketing.
I never would have. Yeah, I remember when we met Mike last year, and then he gave us a tour of MadAve, and when we were in that room, and you're like, yeah, this is I think a car dealership or a mechanic's office, and it smelled like very citrusy, and I was like, that makes sense, Yeah. Another thing you guys are doing, I don't know if you're involved in it, but I know Scott Gregory is. Scott Gregory's fantastic voiceover artist.
Wonderful.
You would be good too.
Not like him. That guy's the voice.
He's pretty good.
You can't escape him. There's been so many times he's done, different TV networks. He's done voiceovers for pretty much a lot of their spots that play. So, you're getting ready in the morning and you hear Scott in the background. This message is brought to you by, and I'm going, oh man,
you sounded good right there.
Can't get rid of that guy.
Yeah, we do e-learning on the side, and he voices him and Amy.
Yeah.
Man, dynamic duo, man.
Yeah, they're the best.
Go through it. But he does humor on hold, and I thought that was really cool, too.
And his clients that he works with on there love him. He and Jerry Brown, our CEO, they were right there at the beginning of on-hold marketing and that whole experience, setting it up. What is it?
Right.
And what do you want to do with them? Well, we can go the obvious and just talk about our products and services while you're on hold. Scott really took that to the next level with humor on hold, and made it something that he's got clients that say, I get people who call me and they say, put me back on hold because I wasn't done listening to that. And they're just cracking up. Like his mind is just genius when it goes down that rabbit hole of how did you come up with that?
Yeah, like at the Addies, we did a doc on his dad, and we were like, oh, ours is going to be really good. And then Scott's comes and steals the show, man. He's talking about stealing a painting and how long he could survive with the clothes on his back and then he would smell. And I'm just like, damn, that was really good.
That's some of his best work right there. I loved that one. And of course it played at the end. Everybody's, very serious about what it means and where they pull their creativity from and what inspires them. And then Scott just...
And that comes on,
No, it's good. It's good. It takes the piss out of it, but at the same time, it's so creative. Was that the first one, Sam, because I know Sam Baldwin's your new videographer. Is that the first project he took on?
Second, yeah. But it was, in his first month. That was, hey, welcome here, by the way. Here's this genius of Scott Gregory. And he's going, okay.
He did a great job. That piece, man. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, a combination of the right visuals and the right story and the right message and the right script. And
take me back, Scott. I always say that. Every episode I say that. Take me back to the beginning. How did you get into, I read on your LinkedIn that you worked at Buckeye.
Yeah.
How did you kind of get to where you are? Because it's interesting. Everyone's story is interesting.
Yeah, I'll give you the snapshot story. That way you'll still buy the book, in the next 5 years.
There you go.
No, product of a single mom that was struggling on the east side of Toledo. Went to wait. Very TPS proud. Understand that when you have a community around you that you only need one fan. That's all it takes is one person telling you, you can do this, or here's something, I believe in you. And it's one of those things that if you've got that, you can go wherever you need to go. So I had that. And then from there, dabbled in some college, and that was fun. And then through learning what I liked and what I didn't like through a series of jobs. I was a swing salesman for 7-Up. I worked as an activities director at a resort. I was in retail. I've experienced all that and understood what I liked and didn't like about it. So when I got to Buckeye, I was originally working in customer service and assisting with that, and the opening came up in marketing. And that was, since high school, my passion, what I wanted to be in. I just didn't know really what that role was going to be. I knew I had a creative side, but I really loved the business side too.
It's very broad.
Yeah. So figuring that out at Buckeye was great. It gave me 12 years of experience running at the helm, making big mistakes and having great failures to learn from, and then getting to a place where in those last few years, I knew exactly what I was doing. I could have retired there.
Sure.
That would have been just great because I had it all down to a system.
Absolutely.
And figured it out. And then I realized I really like figuring it out. So why can't I do that for other companies? And why can't I do that for other clients?
Right.
And when I was looking, there were different opportunities I was looking at. I've known Jerry for 20 years. And had the opportunity to sit down with him and talk about this sensory marketing thing that I rolled my eyes at, and then got to talk to a counterpart of mine in Singapore. It's a British guy named Simon, and he really talked about how he was doing it over there and the importance of it. And it really settled into me like, okay, this is what we want to do. So launching Sensorymax, figuring it out, getting a good product positioning, an offering, it was really nice. And then I get bored quick. So 2-3 years later, in talking with Jerry, it was, okay, now what's that missing link that we don't have in our agency right now? And it was design. So bringing Terry Lesnowitz into the fold in our organization as our chief brand officer, I've learned so much from this guy. And starting Design to Influence and being able to take all that I've learned over the last 20 years and apply that to our clients to tell their story, to create a buzz, to get them noticed. I mean, that's what we do, right?
Right.
So that's kind of me.
That's Mike's set. And you're an MC at a lot of events.
Yeah, that was kind of my way of giving back. I learned early on, don't say no. Never say no.
So you didn't say no to us, and we're very appreciative.
well, I've gotten to the point, you'll appreciate this too. You never say no in the beginning. You figure out what you like to do, and you give back as much as you can. You meet as many people as you can, shake as many hands as you can. You listen to everybody that you can possibly learn from. And then when you get to a certain point, you go, my time is valuable, and I've only got so much. So then you start scaling back at, maybe I don't want to do this so I can spend more time on the things I'm really passionate about.
Right,
then you
exactly.
Start getting selective, and that's when you can start having the luxury of no. And so when something like this occurs, I love this. I love communicating. I love listening. I wish that happened more in 2020.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because everybody, it's the artist complex, right? Everybody wants to be heard, understood, and then hopefully appreciated. That the third one doesn't always happen. But if we can get to the first two, if we can listen to each other and understand each other's perspectives, that's it. As long as we can get there, we'll have a more communicative society that's going to grow and learn from each other and appreciate and hear each other. Everybody's on transmit right now, and social media is probably the biggest problem with that, is everybody is listen to me, here I got stuff for you.
They're just yelling at each other, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, scale back, listen. And if Jerry, he believes in this too, and I never realized it's what I did naturally, but if you can't argue both sides of the story, you can't argue it. If you can't understand the person that is opposing you, standing on their soapbox, screaming at the top of their lungs about something that you would advocate your entire life against, if you don't know their position or their perspective, how can you argue against it? So,
Yeah.
a lot more learning needs to happen today.
That might be some of the best advice we've ever gotten. on this podcast.
that right there is going to be the teaser. That's just fantastic. I think the whole thing, not saying no or saying yes all the time in the beginning, is so true. Like our first year, everything. Yeah, we can do a wedding. We'll do an ad. We'll do a mini doc. Why not? And then you assess. That's how you know learn what you actually want to do.
Absolutely.
Because it always changes. You start like, I want to do this, and then you get bored. You're like, actually, I think this is actually a little bit better. So.
And the earlier on in your life you can figure that out, the more impact you can make. The more likely you're going to be standing at the podium accepting that Lifetime Achievement Award for what you did. Because you didn't just do everything half-assed.
Right.
You did it with purpose and intent. And you knew what you wanted to do and owned it.
So the Sensorymax things, I know. So that's what you started at MadAve with. How did you know? That was Jerry's idea, and then he just brought you in and had to talk you into it?
Yeah.
How did that conversation
Jerry was
go?
already starting to get the services rocking and rolling before I even got there.
Sure.
And it was more of my role to come in and help package it up into an offering and find client opportunities and solutions for pains that people were having. But first you got to figure out, what are those pains? Well, you can't do that without having a discussion and a conversation and looking at industries and marketplaces. So that's where you start. And then you have to read into that to get to the next stage, which is success, which is, okay, now we've implemented things that are solving pains and it worked. Now, how can we duplicate that?
Yeah, exactly. For sure. I wanted to ask you an opinion. Actually, this is something we would talk about off air too, but I just want your opinion as someone who's experienced.
Yeah. Old.
This is actually advice.
You can say
old. Yeah. Old and wise. Obviously when Alex and I started, we wanted to try to offer everything.
Yeah.
We realized quickly that we're two people and that we really like the video side of it. And now we're finding that we really like the mini documentary side of it.
Which is awesome.
Well, thank you. We realize, McDonald's is not going to hire us. Mercedes-Benz is not going to hire us.
They should, and here's why. Everybody's got a story to tell.
Sure.
And that's the most impactful thing you can do for a brand. You can put up an ad that has all their services and what they have. If you can't tell their story, or if they don't have a story, that's step one. They've got to know who they are and be able to represent that as a brand before they can tell you about what they got.
Right.
You got to like somebody before you want to go out with them.
Right, exactly. And I've seen that in ads before too, where it'll be, for example, I'll see an ad for the Cherry Street Mission, and it's very like local newsy.
Yeah.
It's not a very high production value, and it's just kind of like they show the guy on the street in black and white, and it's kind of like it's an overview. And then I'm watching, I'm like, why don't they just take one of these people off the street, or and interview them, get their story, because I'm sure it's pretty heartbreaking. That people would relate to that a lot more, I think, than just the black and white sad music.
Absolutely.
We help people off the street,
right,
by giving them soup. Yeah, I think it's all about being human.
I don't think there's anybody in our industry that wants to just create 30-second spots.
Yeah.
I like the challenge of being able to communicate what you need to in 30 seconds, but if I can't start with long form, if I can't tell a full story before I scale it back to the essence of it that I can put out in a 30 or a 60, it's a fail.
Yeah, I agree.
So I've had the pleasure of working on a couple short documentaries, both with TPS. One was for Zoe Flores, who was a student that went to Harvard, and kind of telling her story, which was amazing. She started her own business when she was in her young teens, taking confetti from concerts that they'd spray out, and then she'd put it into resin and make jewelry. So necklaces and stuff with the confetti of the show that you were at. So she would have, this Coldplay stuff. So you got, 10,000 people that went to a Coldplay concert. Everybody wants to have a memento or a piece of that.
Yeah, sure.
Not only that, she's got the business mind at this young age. She's also then writing it off and going to concerts free. So all this stuff that she can write off as a business expense. And it's like learning from somebody that young. That's why you're always got to be listening, because this now 18, 19-year-old had a story to tell me that I learned from, and then I'm double her age at least. And then the other one was Mona El-Hayani, who's Ohio Teacher of the Year, and to listen to the story that she had to go through and the struggles and navigating different ways to make her purpose forefront and captivating. Just a brilliant story, and those are the things you'll never forget. I mean, it's been years since we did Zoe's, and it's like I could still tell her story exactly down to the minute of her life because it was so impactful.
Yeah, when we're editing because we're doing a series of 4 documentaries. We're hoping to launch them in November.
Sweet.
4 people in Toledo, inspiring stories, and it's weird when you're editing it and cutting it. You spend so much. If you feel like you spent so much time with them and you know them like intimately, like you really know their struggle. And I love making pieces like that because I think they stand the test of time, and it's not like an ad. It's something that people would actually like to watch. Because even the best ad is still like an ad. The best ad in the world, if I'm watching something on YouTube, I'm still going to skip it. But a really good story. I think in the future, the content is going to become the ad.
You're 100% right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wanted to talk to you about the future of advertising, where you see it going.
It's the authenticity of every brand. So that's never been more important than it is today. Is you can't just say, we're a great company. People want you to prove it. Show us how. How are you making a difference? What are your employees doing? What are your beliefs? What's your culture like there? What is the people around your table? What do they look like?
Right.
Do you have a full spectrum? Do you believe in things? Are you passionate about them? What are they?
Right.
Subaru is in 2020 the highest rebuying car brand there was. And when you look at that brand, I mean, they live and breathe dogs, and I mean, they've really carved their story of here's who we are.
Right.
And you can see the success that comes from that, but it's got to be authentic. People can't just say, we believe in breast cancer awareness, so we're going to paint our building pink.
Right.
It's a wonderful cause, but you got to believe in it. You got to be more than just paint on a wall.
Exactly. Love this guy.
I know. I feel like it's been between. Do you have anything you wanted to say?
No, I'm good.
We just keep riffing.
But no, it's like-minded people, I think. And before we started, I said I could probably sit here and talk to you guys all day, and it's a fact. But it's like that in our creative community. I mean, you can bring any of these talented videographers throughout the city. I think if we did a monthly round table, it'd probably be the highlight of my month.
Right.
I love vibing like this with folks that have that same passion. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, I never quite got at the question. Obviously, we like doing the video. I don't want to post it for them and run the ad. So we're of the mindset, and I think a lot of videographers, this is probably a good approach. We'll see what he has to say about it. Making relationships with those agencies. Because a lot of agencies will get hired by McDonald's, and then those agencies will hire video teams and design teams to kind of do the work. What are your thoughts on that?
I absolutely agree. And I think it's important, if you are going to play that role where you're going to be hired by another agency, you got to carve exactly who you are. And the more narrow you can make your specialty, the more you can charge. I think of Eric Egley, a super talented photographer. His work has won tons of awards, and you look at it and you're just in awe. The Red Wings headshots that he did, it's just amazing. But his passion is doing photography of knives and guns and different stuff.
Really?
And he gets paid huge money to do that.
Yeah.
Because when somebody's looking for, I'm a collector of knives. I want the best photographer there is for this.
Right.
His name is at the top of the list. So what is your name at the top of the list for? Making video? Making videos so broad. Get narrow, get narrow, get narrow.
Niche it down to, a lot of people say to niche. Yeah. And I want to, again, do you think it should be a niche in a specific industry, or should it be in a specific style?
It should be authentic to your brand and your passion. What is it that you'd skip sleep to be able to work on? That's your passion. That's where you carve it into, and it can be anything.
This guy's just like, you do any motivational speaking? You're like Tony Robbins up in here. I just feel so uplifted talking to this guy.
But I think it's like in any industry. I mean, I compare us. I think art is art, whether it's creating video, it's creating fine arts and paintings, it's a chef creating a dish, it's a musician creating and composing a song. All of that's art. It's all art. So if you have things that you're super passionate about, that should come through in what you're creating. And you can tell when somebody's creating something that they don't care about, because you're not going to get that zing. You're not going to get that emotion.
For sure.
But you also have had to experience it. How can you expect to make somebody cry if you've never cried? How can you expect to make somebody feel hurt looking at your work if you've never been hurt? So you have to kind of put yourself through the ringer, and that's why I think when you look at fine arts and musicians specifically, they're so troubled because they have to go down to dark places to create. But I think in our world, we usually stay on those higher places that we try to, make it more happy and fun, because that's just our world, and for advertising for the most part. But I think you're able to rip the Band-Aid off when you're talking about doing like short form documentary. I mean, you're able to tell a true story and not have to worry about, does it fit the mold of happiness and what we're trying to put out there.
Yeah, I think the whole happy and light thing is so... Like it says on our website, and this is a big thing we believe in, I think all great video, but really all great content makes someone feel something. Absolutely. Like you might laugh, you might cry, you might be inspired. Mm-hmm. It needs to give you some sort of feeling. I feel like a lot of stuff just doesn't.
That's called a connection.
Yeah, and exactly.
That's the only way you're going to feel connected to something. It's the same way we do with aroma. I mean, anything you can tie somebody to and have them feel a connection, that's how they're going to embrace your brand. I think you're spot on with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Editing and storytelling is so damn important.
Yeah.
You can have the most beautiful shot in the world, but if your storytelling is shit, then it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I always say that. This is a Spencer LeGros original quote.
Right.
Great shots don't make great films.
No, but they can accentuate a great story.
Of course. But like I see a lot of people we call them sick edits. They'll film a guy, a photographer. He's like walking. Then the camera pans, and then he's taking a shot, and then there's like a sun flare, and then there's some like EDM music that's all upbeat, and then it just like ends. It's like, that was so sick, bro, but you didn't. I don't really feel anything. Yeah, what did you say? Yeah, you kind of said a whole lot of nothing with that, and God, it's kind of like the trend now. It's the whole Instagram banger thing. I don't know.
And the funniest part is everybody's looking at all this stuff on their phone.
I know. Oh my God!
You're creating it for this massive screen with all these pixels, and they're just dumbing it down to right here.
Yeah, and then they're also streaming it off of like Facebook, and Facebook makes it like 720p, and your internet connection's not good, so it's like standard definition. It's just like, yeah. I think that's why, Mike. I think it's deep down why I want to go to film, because then you get to a slightly bigger screen.
Yeah,
it can be appreciated. You can appreciate the fidelity a little bit more. Do you think? We were talking to Mike Hart about it, and he was saying that he wasn't sure that the 2021 Addy Awards were going to happen.
So please, are you kidding me? You think COVID can kill an award show that's been around for 100 years? No, I can tell you. I've been on a couple calls with Scott Grostfun, who's the chair this year. He took that over, and he's doing a great job and has a wonderful team behind him. This is going to possibly be, and I'll explain in a second, the biggest Addy Awards.
Okay.
And the reason for that is in the past, the only people who really experience the Addy Awards are those hundreds of people that are sitting in the Valentine Theater looking at a screen, right?
Right.
This year will be the first year that everybody in the entire world is invited to the AAF Toledo Addies for free.
Online streaming.
Yeah, well, pre-produced. There's so many challenges with streaming. We're looking at doing pre-produced. You'll still have presenters. You'll still have all the awards. There'll still be a silver medal. There's still going to be all those components that make the show what it is. The difference is, because of COVID, is how you're going to appreciate it and who you're going to be around. And I'm sure there's going to be agencies out there that'll have this playing in their conference rooms and with their staff sitting around. Depending on where we are come February, there could be folks gathering in restaurants watching it. They can, play the video right on the screens in the restaurants or any kind of a venue to be able to put it together. Or you can watch it from the convenience of your home sitting in your boxers. So we anticipate this to be one of our biggest years as far as entries because of the increased exposure that people are going to have. Mm-hmm. And then it's going to be by far the biggest AAF Toledo Addies in terms of views of people who are experiencing and seeing the show and seeing this award-winning work that's being created throughout the community. I'm really excited
That's really cool.
Will people know that they won? Because if it's pre-recorded, will they know like ahead of time and then they film like accepting it? Or
no, because the acceptance speeches is the only thing that's not going to happen, with the exception of the silver medal. So silver medal will still have that acceptance, and yes, they'll know by the time the show comes out that they've won. But when it comes to just your regular awards, best of show, stuff like that, it'll still be secret. We're not going to have the acceptance speeches, but you'll still have the intros and some special guests and some folks that'll be a part of it.
You hear that? We may very well be the last best of show live off the cuff speech ever. That was really, really cool. I gotta say.
That was a cool experience for me too. There's been in the 10 years that I hosted and chaired the Addies, there had been, consistent winners. You expect to see Madhouse on the stage. They do amazing work.
Oh, yeah, so good.
You expect to see, some of those different agencies and houses be at the podium consistently over and over. When you guys won, that was cool. That was like, wow. Yeah, I mean, here when you have an agency and a company that has all these different assets, and then somebody that has way less can create something that can rival that. Melissa Werman, I think it was the year before or 2 years before, she got Best of Show, or she got a Judge's Choice. No, she got Best of Show too. And that was based on a design piece. She's a freelancer.
Right.
That's fantastic to see. And it really adds that validation that the Addies truly is about the work. It's not about how much money it took to produce it. It's not about having the most educated person or more skilled person in the room. It's the work. What did you create? What was your final product? When you put the pen down and said, I'm done, can it hold that much value that it is celebrated throughout the community? And I love the Addies for that.
Yeah, for sure. And it was so shocking. It was so funny. And I never actually got to talk to you about it because you were like, make sure you called me. Mm-hmm. Will you do the piece? We'd love to do it. Yep. And actually, that was cool because that's kind of like it was almost like a proof of concept for this short form documentary style we want to do. Nice. And then we get there and I'm like, I think we're going to win something. He said, be by the stage, and they're going down the gamut. And like, we're not winning anything. And it gets to the best of show. Yeah. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, God, Mike just told us to come because
he wanted to sell two more tickets.
Sell 2 more tickets. And then, when Chris Peterson. And then when Chris Peterson said you envision things. Yeah. I envisioned it in my head. I was like, if we were to win Best of Show, I just know I would immediately look at Alex, and Alex would be like, sure as shit. She says our name. I look at him. We're like, it's like, no way. Oh, my God. And then I didn't have anything prepared. So, But yeah,
Those
no,
are the
it was-
best. Those are the best ones when you're up there riffing. While you may forget to thank a few people, they're seeing the raw and authentic you and the creators of something they're clapping for on screen. I love that process.
Yeah, man, it's really cool. It's really cool, and I encourage everyone because a lot of people that do video work that are freelancers, they don't enter into the Eddies.
Yeah, and that just blows my mind. Especially, I see hundreds, if not thousands, of applications throughout the year. People that want to work with us or work for us or things, and it always just blows my mind the lack of work that goes into saying who you are.
Right.
So if I say I'm a filmmaker or a videographer, and I don't have anything to show you that speaks for me,
right,
then you need to go back in the lab, man. You need to get back in the kitchen and cut up some more carrots for your soup, because that's not enough.
Sure.
So when you see a student work that gets an Addy, I'm telling you, as somebody that sees that resume, that boom is going to stand out to me as somebody that's taken an initiative to get their work recognized. So their work must be good. I got to look at them at least. It's as important as a portfolio.
That's so true, because so many people that I'd say most of the people I know that go to film school or go to school to do an art aren't like the best at it. I feel like that most of the people that are the best at it are the people that just want to learn it, and they learn it on their own through, YouTube's like the best university ever.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the people that take the time and they want to win the awards, and they don't look at they go to class, you got to make this. Oh, I got to make this. This sucks. The people that are really good look at that, they're like, hell yes, I get to make this. I'm going to kill this thing. So.
Yeah, I've worked with a couple videographers throughout the years that's how they learned. They didn't go to a formal school. They didn't have a VCT program at BG. They went and watched YouTube. They went to the University of YouTube.
Yeah.
And their homework material was the owner manuals and user manuals on how to run that camera and what is everything that camera is capable of doing, knowing it inside and out. And then take it a step further, their software. Am I keeping up to date on everything I can do with that software? Do I know all its capabilities? Because you're only going to be as good as the palette of paint you have.
Right.
So if you only learned gray, white, black, that's all you're going to be able to put on your tapestry. You've got to learn all the colors and all the capabilities and all the different techniques that you can do to be able to represent them.
For sure. Sure.
I think that's one of the reasons that the art schools and stuff aren't, because they're kind of behind, like as far as technology and stuff goes.
Yeah, they are, and I encourage if there is anybody watching this that is considering doing an internship. I think that's the best way you can learn. I think getting in there and getting hands-on, seeing what, especially if you're going into the commercial realm. If you're going into fine arts, you do you.
Right. Paint is going to stay the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't let anybody interrupt your process. But when you're getting more into the commercialized side, and you have to do that for somebody, you have to tell their story, whether it's through a logo or through a video or sales collateral, whatever you're creating, their website. You've got to be able to know how to bring their vision to life using your talents. And that's really an art in itself, is to be able to listen, once again, to what you're being told, pulling from your bag of expertise of what you know can work or would work or could make it better, and then blending those together to have something that people are willing to write a big fat check for. So
I think you brought up a really good point about how I feel like a lot of schools are behind. A great example is like music programs. Now, I love orchestral music.
Yeah.
I'm starting to learn scoring myself. I've classically trained pianist. I said that right. It wasn't a dirty word. And like, I love that, but I feel like it's interesting that music classes don't teach like rock music, or at least most don't, or teach hip hop, because most kids, especially nowadays, that want to do music, I'm going to be a musician. They're not talking about being a violinist. They look at Kendrick Lamar or Cardi B.
You've got to inspire them. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's you'd think that the programs would have evolved, because it's so like 1950s, the marching band.
But it is in some. I mean,
I love the marching band, though.
We do a ton of work with Toledo Public Schools, and they're at the forefront when it comes to career technology programs. They go in and now, I wish it was like this when I was in school. They take kids and they look at what they want to do. Are you going to be military bound, career bound, college bound? And let's start getting on that path to success, 6th grade, and working from there. What an advantage to be able to graduate high school with a bachelor's degree if that's the path you're trying to go. And that can happen today with the early college credit plus that they're doing. It's just amazing.
That's crazy.
Then you look at programs like Penna, who Russ Kreischer over there is his classroom for my entire 10 years of chairing the Addies. His classroom was responsible for running the show day of. So they're in the booth and they're queuing up the music and the visuals and pulling it all together. That's hands-on experience. You can't teach that.
Sure.
You have to be in the booth and you have to make an error to know I can't do that again and learn from it. That's how you learn that craft or that trade to be able to monetize it, be successful. So
Yeah.
there's programs doing it. I wish it was more like that when it comes to the creative side, especially in design and video and different elements like that. That's where you're going to be able to have success.
Well, it's getting better for sure. There's more and more programs, and
Well, and the thing is, like we said, YouTube and different assets that are out there, people can go do that. That's already there. Do you have the drive to do it? Do you go home and click on TV, or do you start working on your second job, which is you?
Right.
So instead of putting in your 8 hours and saying, all right, the other 16 are mine, I'm done.
Yep.
How much are you willing to invest into yourself? So if 5 o'clock hits and you got to take a nap, well, that's probably going to be your life. That's probably going to be as far as a success you're willing to get. But if you're putting in another 4, another 8, you're going to have. It just depends on what people's level of happiness is.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And I find it, I know people, and I feel like most people don't really have a passion. I swear to God, if you could do anything in your life, I asked someone this. If you could do if you had money wasn't a thing, you could do anything you want all the time, what would you do? Literally said, I'd probably just sit and watch TV. Just there, seriously, anything oh my God,
We're all entitled to the pursuit of happiness, not happiness.
Right. Well, I guess if that's what makes them happy, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
It's just I can't help but judge that and be like,
Yeah.
don't you want
different.
anything more?
Yep.
What's next for you? Where do you see yourself in 10 years, young man?
Oh, geez, I don't know yet. No, we've got a great thing going at MadAve. In the 8 years I've been there, we went from 2 agencies to 8 now, that are under one roof. We've expanded, we've grown, we've got a killer team we just keep adding to. It's like first round draft pick after first round draft pick. I'm thrilled with seeing the level of talent that we have coming through the front door. So you'll find me there, and you'll find me doing a lot more traveling. And I'm sure I'll be somewhat involved with AAF and the Addies and stuff too. It's AAF has done a lot for me, growing me to where I am, or providing me a vehicle to network and to learn more and understand different things. So I'm always going to be indebted to AAF for that. So,
did you decide to host the online Addies this year, or are you still done? Okay.
I am not. I don't know if they're going to have a traditional host or how that's going to go, but I know there are going to be different presenters and stuff. They've got some good plans that I've seen behind the curtain a little bit. They've let me see, but
what would you recommend in terms of networking? Because I had emailed you asking about that. We want to meet obviously for what we want to do. We understand we gotta go national or even international to do this type of thing on a large scale.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to have a really strong home base. I think it's important to kind of start the network in your hometown and have a good base.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to know what your advice would be for us or anyone else who recognizes that on making those connections and starting those relationships.
Yeah, and to be clear, to me, there's always been personal networking, business networking. Now, business networking is great, and I want to know who's the best at everything that's out there. I don't care whether you're a plumber and sell insurance, a pilot. I don't care what you are. If I know that you're the best at it, I want you in my network, because when I get asked for something, now I can become that catalyst that says, oh, you need a tax guy? I got the best tax guy there is for you. And I can connect the dots, and then you have a great experience. Now I just got validated even more.
That's true. Yeah, you don't think about that.
Yeah. So I try to surround myself with the best people that I can possibly find. So that way I'm never asked, hey, do you know a? And I go, no. Right. So take that extra time and invest it. It translates to dollars, because if you're trying to help other people get successful, you're going to in turn become successful, because as much as you're going to help them, they're going to remember where that came from, how that came, and they're going to be pushing business or people back to you too, or find opportunities for you to be a part of too. But on the personal side, I think that's absolutely important too, because it gives you different perspectives. And I always, when I'm networking, I'm looking for people that aren't me. So my friend network is real broad. My best friend has been my best friend since we were 5. He's a truck driver, a big dude. He's a complete introvert. We couldn't be more opposites on paper than you could possibly have. But he gives me that balance and different perspective that's so different and unique to what I have, that it pulls me in more. And we've had a great friendship for many, many years. But I always look for that. So I look for the diversity side. I look for give me your perspective and challenge my way of thinking if you feel that there's a different or a newer or better way to do it. And I haven't been able to experience everything in my life, so I need to know your story and your perspective so I can understand that. Because I can't tell that story if I don't even know it exists, or if I don't know how that has affected somebody. I can't trigger that emotion in you because it may contradict something you grew up experiencing.
Sure.
So I've got to gain those perspectives, and that's why diversity has been kind of a last few years push for me. Once I understood from the national level the importance and understood and saw work and agencies that were embracing being extremely diverse and seeing the stuff that comes from that, the results, the success, it really it became something I wanted to make sure I brought back with me to Toledo, and we implemented the mosaics and the committee that is going to always be at the forefront focusing on that to make sure it's a priority of AAF Toledo, which is great. If that can be just a nugget of my legacy that helped bring that to Toledo, I'll be thrilled.
Well, I think it's cemented.
Yeah.
The great Mike Seay. What are your thoughts on BNI? Because we were in a BNI for a little bit, and we've sat in for people when they couldn't be there. I think, like you said, it's so important to have leads for people. I need a plumber, I need this, but like you said, you want the best one. You want someone who's really good.
Right.
And that's something about BNI that I always kind of found strange, because it's just like, well, he's in my BNI group, so I need to refer him specifically. And my thought process was like, well, what if this guy sucks? He's only in here because he's paying. It's like, what if the guy's not good?
And that's your reputation.
Yeah, I don't feel good recommending this person if they're no good.
Yeah, same thing. I think the trade groups that are out there are there to be a nice introductory tool, or get you out of your comfort zone if it's not really your forte. I do it a complete different way. When I see something that impresses me in my life, and I'll just leave it a broad stroke like that, doesn't have to pertain to advertising, marketing at all. When I see something that impresses me, I'll go and introduce myself. I'll seek out that person that was a part of that or that did that, and I want to meet them and understand them and make sure they know who I am. And if it's that important to me, I've had situations where I've found people that I've respected and need to learn from, that I've asked if we could schedule a monthly coffee. I'll buy and we'll meet. There's something that happens in your career where you go, I want to be able to give back. I want to be able to help somebody get a head start beyond where I was when I was their age.
Sure.
So it's self-serving to be able to do that for somebody else. I would welcome that phone call anytime. Somebody's saying, I'd like to sit down. So I imagine and understand that these folks that I'm reaching out to, they got to feel the same way. It's a good ego stroke, if you will, but you try to find and make it mutually beneficial so they can understand your perspective too. They're getting something out of it as well.
For sure.
Yep.
I think we covered everything. That was a fast one.
What's next for you guys? And tell me, I got two questions for you. Now we'll switch the
I like
hats
this.
up.
I like this. All right.
We're going to switch the hats a little bit. So
Yeah.
you talked about going into the short form documentary kind of side of it. What passion draw would be? What would be the ideal client for somebody to walk in and say, I need you guys to help me tell my story? Is there a theme, an industry, a person that you'd be looking for?
Do you want to field this, or you want me to field it?
Well, I think higher education is something that we talk about.
Yeah, in terms of an industry that niching, we think a good niche to go after would be higher education.
Yeah.
I think, I'd love to make a film, for example, about a 65-year-old woman. Kids are out of the house. Maybe she has some grandkids, and then she decides, you know what? I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to get my degree. I'm going to become a lawyer. I always wanted to be a lawyer, but life happened, and now I'm going to come back. I would love to tell that story. I mean, it's really just about, obviously, you want to tell the best story you can. And I think universities would be a good, I guess, discipline, because you have such a, like you said, diverse. It's so diverse. You have so many different people from so many different walks of life. Yes, the films all might center around universities or someone going to a university, but they're all going for different reasons and from different places. And that breadth of storytelling, I think, is really attractive. But again, I'm not pigeonholed to just that.
Have you guys seen Hamilton?
No, but I've seen the bits of it on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
As storytellers, I think it's such a remarkable piece of work. and the storyline that's in there, I mean, it leads you to a path. It is about storytelling. It was, I mean, at the end, and not to spoiler alert this for you, but at the end, you kind of look back at, this was all about somebody telling the story of everything that had happened. It's not something you're going to get in history books. This was beyond that. This was an all-encompassing story, written third person, as somebody who viewed it. There's a challenge out there. This could be written first person because it's called Hamilton. It's not called Alexander Hamilton, so it could be about his wife. You know, there's a big discussion out there. I love doing it. But I think as storytellers, it's stuff like that I just watched that for the first time during COVID, and I think I've watched it probably a dozen times since then because it just brings out so many components of storytelling. I know it's influenced me now to be able to tell a broader and a bigger story. What are some of the things you have seen, and I'll just say during COVID, or you've experienced during COVID that has made you better storytellers?
We think about that.
Man.
Things we've seen during COVID that has made us better storytellers.
Is there work that's out there? Are there stories you watched? It could be a news story even. Are there things that affected you that you're probably going to carry with you in the next short form documentary you create?
I don't know that it would be relating to COVID necessarily. Yeah. I think during this COVID, business has been slower for us, and I think for a lot of people. And
had our 3 biggest months ever during COVID.
You had your 3 biggest months?
Yep.
Well, that's really that's.
And I'm not.
We're very happy for you, Mike.
I'm not bragging about it. I don't mean it to come across that way. But what it did is it challenged the business model you have, and it says, what's the most important thing people are trying to do right now? Communicate. Everybody's got something they're trying to communicate right now, whether it's who they are, what they offer, what they sell, the story behind the scenes that they're struggling, they're trying to do more, the success stories that they're having, the heartfelt emotion that they have for people that are struggling or going through something right now, and that can be with any of the things going on in the climate currently in 2020. So we were able to look at, who in our client base needs this help. And we started early on and said, the same way you guys are taking action and putting this together, this is really cool. We did the same thing and said, we're going to put together a webinar kind of thing that engages our clients. We want to have bigger conversations with them, find out what they're doing. Let's find them. Everybody has pains right now. That's the thing.
Sure, that's true.
There's never been a bigger opportunity for a business than when somebody's in a pain, and you're not exploiting it. You're truly helping them. They've got to survive. They've got to grow. So you're helping them do that, even through all the different crises that we're facing right now.
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't know if he was going to say something, but no.
He did. He said, yeah.
He said, yeah. I guess, I'm on social media, and I see a lot of stories. I've seen stories of people obviously closing, people in this building.
Yeah.
There's a kickboxing gym right down here, and the guy put a really heartfelt post saying he had to shut it down.
Right.
And then obviously as a small business owner myself, you empathize with that because, to me, if we were to have to close down and I was going to have to go get a normal job or whatever, that would be very, very devastating and very, very hard.
Yep.
Yeah, I just think, I don't know. We spent a lot of time during COVID looking at what we really wanted to do in this space because, like you said, video is so broad.
Right.
And telling stories, human stories that make people feel something. That's really what I want our niche to be, and then in the short form documentary format.
To be heard. To be appreciated,
to be heard and appreciated, and I think that is what sells the best more than anything.
Absolutely, the authenticity of that cannot be replicated.
I think we'll end on that. That was really nice. That was good. Mm-hmm. This is Michael C. You can follow him on LinkedIn. Yeah. Do you want to plug anything?
Yeah, don't follow me in real life. I'll get a restraining order. But
that's a good one. So the first time we've heard that one. That was good.
No, check us out at MadAveGroup.com. I guess I'd put it out there, and I welcome anybody. I love conversations, so
clearly.
Let's have them. And enter the Addy Awards. 2021 Addy Awards will be huge.
Yes, we want a lot of people to enter, so when we win Best of Show, we feel even better that we beat all of you. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, this has been Your Media Podcast. We'll see you on the next one.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, man.